You probably found this video because you're watching every video there is about Blackmagic and you're trying to figure out if it makes sense for you. Well, it makes sense for me, and I'm going to tell you why. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and give you my credentials, what I do. And then I'm going to show you the comparison of Blackmagic products compared to other things that I've used before and let you make up your mind for yourself. First of all, a little bit about me. I've been making YouTube videos for about 12 years now. And before that, I did other forms of video production, still production, started with photography in high school, and I've forgotten probably more about it than most people ever cared to learn. So when I started doing this job, it was really clear to me that I was going to be producing all these videos myself. And if you look at the 800 or so videos on the Solid Signal YouTube channel, fewer than 10 of them were created with any sort of production assistance. I shoot them, I edit them, I produce them, I find the assets, I find the content, I write them, the whole deal. I'm a one-stop shop. And the other mandate that I've had throughout the years is to try to keep that budget under control. So I've tried to do that. I started out making videos with a point-and-shoot camera, and then I moved up to a DSLR. I have tried with an iPhone, and now I'm producing videos with a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. And I've learned an awful lot along the way, and the most important thing that I've learned is that you just can't cheap out. It's just worth it. What is it that makes a Blackmagic camera really good for a basic YouTuber? Because you'll watch these videos and they will go through all of the menus and all of the settings and professional stuff. And really that's what a lot of these Blackmagic cameras are good for, is they can take the place of a traditional video camera. You know, people use these to make, you know, real actual films like you see in theaters. Is it worth it for you to do one if you're just going to be recording basic YouTubes? Well, it does have a lot of settings, and you can set all of them manually. But something they don't seem to tell you on a lot of these videos is that you can still operate this in a very simple, basic way. It does have autofocus. It does have auto exposure. There's essentially two ISO settings. You're going to use one or the other. You can set manual ones in between, but really you're just going to go like 400 or 3200 depending on the lighting situation. It can be done simply. It's all touchscreen and it all just works. Another thing that you'll want to know as a YouTuber is that you can record straight to a solid state drive. You do not need to record to a memory card. Now, okay, it's just one of life's little embarrassments, little annoyances, if you will, to have to take the card out of the camera, put it in an adapter, connect it to the computer, copy it off, blah, blah, blah. If you can record straight to a hard drive, that's so much easier. You just disconnect the hard drive, connect the hard drive to your computer, and you're done. And you will want to connect your camera up to a solid state drive. You will not want to use a memory card, because one thing I will tell you is while this camera shoots incredibly gorgeous footage, it takes up a lot of hard drive space. I'm talking on the range of about 12 gigabytes a minute, depending on the quality setting you choose. There are a bunch of different quality settings and you can shrink it down, but you do not shoot in like MPEG-4 with this camera. You shoot into one of the real high quality formats that take up a lot of space. If you want to transcode into one of those lower quality formats before you edit just to save hard drive space, that's up to you. But you can do it straight from the hard drive. You don't have to copy it first. I found, especially when I was using the iPhone, that it would often take longer to get video off the iPhone than it took to shoot it, which is kind of ridiculous. The quality of this camera is off the charts. Now, I've got a fairly basic setup with just the Pocket Cinema camera and a lens that I happen to have anyway. It will take Canon lenses and Canon batteries, which is great. You can get them at any camera store, and you shouldn't feel pressured right up front to start with a $1,000 lens. You can get a decent used lens for under $100 that's probably going to do everything that you want it to do. and you don't have to worry about more than that at first. The nice thing is you can upgrade to a higher quality lens anytime you want to, which you can't really do with a lot of other cameras, and you certainly cannot do with an iPhone unless you replace the entire phone. I was amazed by how well this camera did with video, and I was also pretty amazed with audio. I'm recording most of this using a microphone, which you can see here, but I'm going to take this part, and this is the audio as it's recorded by the camera. Still, really not that bad if you think about it. And if you run through some AI filters, you can get rid of a lot of the residual stuff as well. Let's talk video quality for a second. I'm recording this clip in 6K, and I'm mastering it in 4K. Now, you probably aren't looking at this on a large screen, so I'm going to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in until you can really see the difference in what this is laying down. This is real high quality video, which means you're going to get the best possible results. What you're going to do is going to be worth looking at. I know it's really all about the content. A poorly produced video with great content is going to beat a slick video with no content any day of the week. But why can't you have both? And with this camera, then you can. Overall, I will say there are only a few things that are real negatives with this camera. It is not cheap. You probably already know that because you've looked at it online. It's not cheap, and no matter which one you pick, it's far, far more than you would pay for pretty much any other camera out there. And it does not come with memory. It does not come with a lens. It doesn't come with even a shoe on the top if you wanted to put a light or a monitor on it. You're going to have to add all of those things. If you want just even a manual viewfinder on it besides the large screen it has on the back, you have to add that. This is a camera that is going to cost you some money to get. Another thing you need to know is that it pretty much eats batteries for lunch. Get as many batteries as you can. Be prepared to swap them out unless you're going to use the AC adapter, which is really it's a good option. They call this a pocket cinema camera, the one that I'm using. I would defy anyone to find a pocket big enough for it to hold it, because it is really very large, much larger than any DSLR than I have used in the past, and certainly heavier than something like a phone. You're going to use this on a tripod or a gimbal or something where you're going to carry it with either both hands or put it on a tripod. This is not a handheld camera, regardless of the shape. If you can get past that, then you're going to be just fine. I'm really quite pleased with the camera overall. I'm pleased with everything it does. And some of the nice little touches, like there's a free app for the iPad and it's a paid app for the phone that lets you focus and start and stop recording right from where you are instead of from being behind the camera. Remember, I'm doing all this stuff myself, so that really does come in handy. That's a nice feature. And overall, when I think about this, when I think about producing YouTubes with it, the reason the quality is important is because you can never get that quality back. This camera has outstanding low light performance. Let me show you. This is what the Blackmagic camera looks like with all of the studio lights off. I've set it up to ISO 3200 and that helps, and I've done some correction in the editing and that helps. So it really does very, very well in low light, which you cannot say the same thing about other cameras. I decided to take my old point and shoot camera out of mothballs to try to give you a comparison between the way I used to shoot and the way I shoot now. This is a Nikon point and shoot circa about 2012. It's actually got a nice big glass lens on it for a point and shoot, but needless to say, it's just not doing the job that it needed to do. It takes a lot of light. It's constantly autofocusing while you're recording, and it only records in 720p, which is not going to be sufficient for doing any sort of zooming or cropping when you're editing video. I outgrew this pretty quickly. It's also worth noting that the camera has a microphone built into it, but I'm still recording using the lavalier. This is what it sounds like when you use the camera's built-in microphone. For a while I was shooting video with an iPhone 12, iPhone 12 Pro to be precise. This is that camera. It was really sufficient for a while, but the big problem was if you recorded in 4K, it just took forever to transfer the footage, and it really wasn't that good. It is technically 4K, but the performance is not great on it. Of course, it does have a built-in microphone, which is honestly pretty good. This is what it sounds like with audio coming straight from the iPhone. Not terribly bad. But overall, the performance of the iPhone really wasn't doing it for me. The fact that you couldn't upgrade the storage and it took so long to get stuff off of it, this was a big problem for me. And that is why I changed over to something that I thought I would like better. This is the iPhone with no studio lighting. You can see that there is, it does a decent job with low light. The phones are always advertised as doing a pretty good job in low light, even in 4K. And I guess that is true, but it is nowhere near as good as the job that you get from the Blackmagic. Even so, when I would shoot with this particular camera, I would always use studio lighting whenever possible, unless I was outside. For a while, I was using a Nikon DSLR, one of the lower end ones, the 3000 series, to shoot video. It does a great job with still photos, records in RAW format, and the lenses are inexpensive. I've liked Nikon because it tends to be a little bit less expensive to get a good lens. And overall, I just like the quality of it. But using this for video, first of all, I was limited to high definition, not 4K, which really limits the ability to kind of scan and zoom and make changes while you're editing. So it wasn't necessarily great. Another thing about it is the built-in microphone is really, really poor. It does not have a microphone input. This is what the microphone sounds like on the Nikon camera with the studio lights on. Pretty darn undesirable. This is how well the Nikon DSLR does in an ambient light situation. It's just fine for outside. Inside, you really do want to have some studio lighting. You do the best you can, but it's only able to open up so big before you start to see, grain and a lot of undesirable stuff. Still though, the Nikon was a good compromise for a lot of years, not too big, and it would record 10 minutes of video at a time, uses MP4, so it's relatively compact, and I've done a lot of good work with it. It's just that it wasn't incredibly flexible. Final words about the Blackmagic cameras is they're great, they really work fantastic, they give you quality that you can't get. You can't add quality to a shot later. You can always take it away. You can always sample this down to standard definition if you want to, but you can't go the other direction. You're going to want to start shooting in the highest possible resolution with the highest possible quality, and that's what's going to work out for you. If you're looking for the Blackmagic products, you're going to find them at solidsignal.com or on the Solid Signal store at Amazon. Search for Solid Signal and you'll find it. And if you have any questions about this camera or anything else that you need to live your best digital life, call 888-233-7563. Truth is, we really do answer the phone. We're here for you during East Coast business hours, and if we don't know the answer right up front, we'll get it for you. I hope this video has helped you decide whether or not to get a Blackmagic camera. I didn't believe at first that it was going to make a difference in my life. It has. It's made my production easier, faster, and better. And I hope it does the same thing for you.